this evening I'm continuing on with the insulation. I'm using the last of the van builder's van liner that I have. So it won't finish everything that needs insulating, but I was always expecting that. It's pretty fiddly getting into all these pieces down here where there's the holes and cutouts, getting it in there. But I'll use what I've got, I'll finish it off, and then I'll have to use polyfill or some kind of fluff insulation that I can stuff in. There's areas where that's the only way that I can insulate, will be to fill it full of stuffing. So that's what I'll do, but I'll use the van liner that I've got left, which is not a huge amount. That's all I've got left there, so not much left, plus a few scraps on the bench. Well, that's it. That's all the insulation I have left. G'day, it's Thursday evening. I'm going to now start concentrating on electrical stuff. I'm going to work on wrapping up the OpenAuto Pro project, and part of the reason for that is I want to get the reverse camera changed over and some of the cabling that the previous owner of the vehicle ran in, I'm going to pull out because I don't need it there. Part of the reason for wanting to do that is so that I can get this mess up here cleaned up, and then I can concentrate on getting the shelf put in above the cab, because one of the early jobs I want to do in getting cabinetry done is put the wall in that will separate the cab from the rest of the vehicle. So I need to get the shelf done up here before I can progress very far with that. That appears to be where the previous owners tapped into the reverse light there. 12 volts, more or less. No volts, more or less. It's definitely the one. Now I'm going to remove this. Means my existing reversing camera is no longer going to work, at least not automatically. But I'm going to use the wire that has been run to draw my wire that I'm running back up to the top. So this wire goes up to the top and then it joins onto a different wire. And then it goes up to the front, joins onto another wire again, goes to the existing reverse camera. I don't like that. I'm running one wire the whole length from here. I'm not a fan of these suitcase connectors, as some people call them. So I'm just going to bare some of this wire, solder my wire on there, insulate it. Okay, now I can put the tail light back in. Okay, so here's how you open the dash on a 2011 to 2014 Iveco Daily. Take this insert here out. So this comes out. And then in here are two Torx screws. I like to have a container to put all my screws in so I don't lose them. Find this knob here. There's another Torx screw. And then this whole thing just pries off. Having done that, I should be able to now reach this cable I'm having trouble with. And ease it past the cabling that it's getting stuck on. Cut that off, leave myself plenty of length, I can cut it shorter later. I'm going to take a feed from here. This is one of the lights that sits behind the dash here. And take a feed from that to be my headlight trigger. Testing my reverse wire. Make sure that my reverse trigger works. Ignition on, vehicle in reverse. I have 12 volts. Shift out of reverse. And I have nothing. So my reverse trigger wire works. So there's my HDMI, my reverse trigger and my headlight trigger ready to go. Everything else I need is already in the factory cabling, so I can use that. So the PETG, I've got some black PETG arrived today, so I can print a black bezel for the Raspberry Pi screen. I'm also printing a box for the amplifier to go in. And I'm working on a design for the mount for the camera on the back. And once I've got all that done, then I can go ahead and get all this installed and working. The original reverse camera is mounted up in the high stop light here. So I'm going to pull this shroud off, and this evening's task is to work out how to mount the new reversing camera. Okay, I'm ready to do a first test of the system with the wiring and the relays and everything in. So I've just got a feed from a transformer here, which is going to provide my vehicle power. This switch is going to be the ignition switch. So at the moment that's turned off, and I will turn the power on. It should power this up but not trigger the buck converter and not power the screen on. So let's turn the power on. Okay, so the timer relay is powered but not doing anything. So let's turn the ignition on. So ignition's on. You can see the lights flashing on the Raspberry Pi. There's OpenAuto Pro booting up. Relay just killed power. Why did it do that? Okay, so after a bit of faffing about with the time delay relay, I've figured out what was going on with that and got it working properly now. Found instructions in a version of English online and was able to work out from those how to do the programming that I needed to do to get the relay working properly. So let's see if I can show you how it works. Turn the ignition on, which powers up the relay, powers up the screen and the Raspberry Pi, which is now booting. This would probably be a bit faster if I had a Raspberry Pi 4, but I don't. It's a 3D Plus. And then we go. Let's say I turn the headlights on. And the screen goes into night mode, back to day mode. Put the vehicle into reverse. Triggers the camera. The camera's not working for some reason. I need to figure out why that is. Okay, I figured it out. Reseated the connections for the camera. And so now when I trigger the camera, switches to the reverse camera. Take it out of reverse. Reverse camera turns back off. Turn the vehicle off. Raspberry Pi shuts down. The relay is counting up to 30 seconds. And when it reaches 30 seconds, it will shut off power. There we go. So now there's no power to buck converter or the Raspberry Pi any longer. Well, it's a beautiful sunny Saturday and I would love to be out working on the van, but at the moment I'm working on some final details to get the OpenAuto Pro project complete. So first thing up this morning, I need to get this camera mount printing. I've taken the high stop light mount off the van and cut a hole for the camera to fit through. So this fits in behind there. And then the mount that you see on the screen there will print and slip in from behind, and the camera will slip through that, and then the final layer will go on behind the camera to hold it all in place. So I'll get that printing, and then while that's printing, I am going to work on getting the head unit installed in the van. I've got the amp is in its little box that I've made. Need to get the cable terminations done, terminate the cable points on the back of the Raspberry Pi unit so that it's all plug in into the dash, and do the terminations behind the head unit in the dash itself as well, so that I can plug it all in, and hopefully by the time I've done all of that, I also have a working camera mount that I can get the camera mounted. I'd like to get all of that finished today if I can. I've got both printers working on parts for the camera mount. So now I can go and do the wiring stuff that I need to do. Now that I've proved the concept, I know that everything works, I'm just going to tidy up the wiring a little bit. I want to solder the pieces going into the terminals rather than just have them as twisted loose wire, just so they're a more solid connection, and put connectors on ends and things like that ready to go. I'll do the same with the amplifier, and then into the van to do the same in there. I've just dropped off the wiring for a moment because the first part of the camera mount print had finished, and so I wanted to check it and see how it goes, and I was right when I said it would probably need tweaking. because I added an L shape onto the mount. It's probably a bit hard to see, there we go. I added an L shape onto the mount just to help with it fitting inside the shell here. But I put those upstands on the wrong side. I should have put them on over here, not over here. So the whole thing is kind of the wrong way around. So I've just got to change that and reprint it. It's not a big deal. It doesn't take very long to print this. The other part of the print will still take quite a while yet. So I'll just fix that up and reprint it and then carry on with the wiring. For the main power connection, I'm using these, they're called XT60s. They're from the radio control world, and they're just a good general power connector. It will give me the full-time 12 volt input into the system. Okay, so that's the Raspberry Pi wiring complete on this side. Still got to do the connections on the van side, but that's easy. So the next thing is to prepare the amplifier. Well, I'm up to the much anticipated part where I start making connections inside the dash. So okay, I've finished making all the wire connections in here. I've isolated the 3 factory wires that I'm not using so they can't short on anything. Just need to tape up this loom a bit now. I've tested the amp with the phone that I'm using to record this, so I know the amp is working. That just needs to be mounted properly in there, and then I'll be ready to put the head unit in. So I've decided I'm going to mount this 7-port USB hub in here. Not because I need 7 ports, but because I have this hub and it's going to work. It'll fit, the cable's long enough. But it doesn't fit in there, so I'm going to have to butcher it a bit to get it to fit. Okay, we're on the home stretch now. More through good luck than good management. The amp box is the perfect size to stand in here in that space. It's wedged in there nicely. I've got double-sided tape on it to stop it moving around and squeaking and rattling. Just making sure I'm putting it in the right way around. Microphone, amplifier, HDMI, this is the one I'm concerned about. Don't think it's going to fit. No, it's not going in there in a million years. Busting something. Yeah, definitely going to have to cut relief for the HDMI. So let's leave that off for the moment. I don't have the camera installed yet anyway. These are my trigger wires and power. So let's just set it up in there loosely for the moment. we'll try turning it on and see what it does. Definitely going to have to do something about noise. There it is booting. Turn the lights on. Yep, flicks into night mode. Put the van into reverse. Tries to turn the camera on. Now, obviously it's not going to work because the camera's not plugged in. And turn the ignition off. And it shuts down. Okay, so I need to sort out the noise, which is not a surprise. And I need to get the HDMI running. So just thought I would show you the system now that it's all working. Set to automatically play music as it turns up. You can turn that feature on and off. You can see it's just connected to my phone automatically as well via Bluetooth. So it'll work for hands-free calling and all that sort of thing. If I turn the lights on, it goes into night mode on the screen. Put vehicle into reverse. And we have reverse camera. If I plug my phone in, Android Auto will start. And that's all working now for navigation and that sort of thing. So, hey Google, take me to Alice Springs.
Navigating to Alice Springs.
There we go. So one day.
This route avoids road closures on Soldiers Road. You are on the fastest route. You should reach your destination by 1:41 p.m.
So that's all working. And if I shut the vehicle off, the shutdown script takes over and the Raspberry Pi shuts down gracefully. So pretty happy with all of that. And that's going to conclude this video. So thanks for joining me on another one. Hope you found this interesting and enjoyable. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one where we'll be into some actual van building.